Well, good evening. Good evening. I'm Minister Sharon Brumfield, and yes, I'm standing in for Dr. Burns this evening. And we also have with us James for Financial Friday. And so, James, how's it going? How's your week?
It's going. It actually is going. It was going rough at first. It cleared up, and now is actually pretty smooth now. Pretty smooth. So I want to give a
Okay.
shout out to the contractors that are working with me and the owners that are working with me and the different projects that we got going on. So thanks to all of that collaboration and just being able to communicate one to another, what was once nerve wracking is more in line with what I would like to do. So yeah,
Okay,
I,
good.
I am blessed. I am blessed by that. So yeah.
Awesome. So it started off rough, but it's coming together.
Yeah, it started off real rough. So in the property management field, I took a couple photos of it. Took a couple photos of a property that's about nearing done, and then I got flooded with a bunch of people. Some people wasn't on the list, some people was on the list, and everybody wanted to see it. And I was like, "Well, it's not done. It's about a month out." And they was like, "No, I got to see it. I got to see it." I'm like, "Dude, you want to see it, but it's a month out." So I did an inspection, did another inspection. And I was like, this is not. This just isn't what I represent. This isn't what the company represent. And the work is good. It's just some of those small adjustments. And it went from me not being satisfied to now I'm looking at a way easier path to being satisfied, and everything is coming in order. So that's fun.
Okay. Well,
That's what
definitely.
a
Um, God gives you more on the way than he does at the start testimony, huh?
yeah. Yeah. I also got to give a shout out to all my brothers that stepped in. It are there. I'm glad that there's people out there that has been doing this before I got here. So they was able to give me some insight, calm down some of the anxiety. And it is anxiety when you got a proper when you got a property inside the project phase. There is some anxiety there because you want it to be done, you want it to be nice, you want to get everything done at a certain time. So there's some anxiety there, and then when everything start coming together, then it kind of calms down. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's good just have another brother like, hey, bro, I've been there. You could be cool, and I'm and
Right.
I'm I'm the funny part is that this isn't the first time or the second time. It ain't the third time. It's not the fourth. It's just a regular occurrence. It's like when you speak for a living,
Mm-hmm.
you always get that anxiety, even though you like I've done this speech before, I've taught people before, and you always get that just get that anxiety for some odd reason. And I think property management or being doing renovations have those same small increments where you know what the process is and you've done the process before, and then it just that anxiety creep in. So yes.
Okay. So
um,
what do you do about that when that creeps in? What's your what's your plan for that?
I look at the numbers. I think that's the for me, looking at the numbers helps significantly because when you plan stuff out and you look at the numbers, it gives you more reassurance that you're either on track, you're close to track, or you're off track. And those are the things that help you get a sense of where you are. So when you're off track, that's when you really got to rely on other people. You got to, I shouldn't say other people in the sense of you can't do it. Relying on other people means you need to start making communication. Hey, where are we with this? How does this look? When will this be completed? And then that allows you to get more of a handle on where things are and how soon it'll be. Um, how soon can a deficiency be corrected? So those things are really big because renovations aren't just the person who's leading it. It's the people who's involved. It's the people who's breaking down the walls. It's the people who's doing the floor, the people who's doing the painting, the electrician, the plumber, the roofer. Like all of these pieces got to come together, and they have to get all this stuff done at the same time. And then on top of that, you got tenants that are trying to get in because they want to live there. So you got like this time crunch on both ends. And sometimes it's nice just to have a brother who already doing it or been in the process, or they've been there with you, and they could be like, man, don't that suck? And you be like, yeah, it does. And then sometimes just having somebody in common ground,
Right.
somebody who's been in that muck with you is always good at helping you because they've been there. You might have been there too, but they've been there before. And sometimes you just got to bounce an idea off. Like, dude, like right now, I'm not feeling good. I need to, and I think honesty is really big. Honesty is really, 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 really key. Being honest with yourself, because you can have anxiety. Even though you've done this before, I get anxiety. So it's a lot of anxiety that goes along with it because it's a lot of money put up in something to hopefully get that money back. So it is tremendous. It's tremendous when it works, and it's horrible when it doesn't. But you got to take that risk, and the risk got to be to win. The risk can't be not to lose. So you got to give it your all. You got to go all in on it, and you got to knock it out. And I think Damon Dash said it best. He was on a podcast, and I think he said it best. He said, if you're a boss, you're always broke, because all bosses are broke. Because when the money is coming in, you're already putting the money towards something. And when you get more money, you're putting the money towards that next project. And then once you finally get done with the one project you finally got done with, you already on to the next thing. So now you got your money coming in, it's going to this project, it's moving, and now it's going to this other project over here. And then you can't just have one, you got to have more, so you're always reproducing. So you got money coming in, money going out, money coming in, money going out, money coming in, money going out. And so when people ask, I mean, I could tell people what I'm doing, or I could just like, yeah, I'm broke, and be okay with being broke. So I took that and I said, oh, that's the funniest example of it, because money is always moving. I do have some liquid cash, but for the most part, all of my money that's coming in is already being deviated to different projects that I got going on. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's always the anxiety, because it's like if something was to mess up here, it affects here, and then I got to dip into my savings and then try to keep things moving. So yeah. In the beginning, it was crazy. Now I got a bigger egg. I got more residual or more money in reserve. So even though it goes through its ups and downs, having more money in the reserve does help out. I still feel anxiety though. I feel like,
but why anxiety? Is it anxiety, or you're just using that word, or is it more uncertain? You're not sure, or is it actual anxiety? You've said anxiety about 10 times. Is it really that, or is it I'm just unsure of what's happening, or I can't see what's happening, or I don't really trust this right here, so I feel a little uneasy?
I think I'll use the word I think I like the word anxiety only because it's an emotional. It's like if you have anxiety, it's like sweaty palms. It's like uneasy, but the emotional side is what no one sees the emotions of it. So yes, I am uneasy with a situation, and even when I look at the numbers and I'm behind schedule, I have to reassure myself that this is what the game plan looks like, and we can hit the game plan. And if I'm a month behind, then I'm a month behind, but I can still hit the goal, right? I can still make points. And that's where your nerves kick in, because they kick in because they you want to be done. I promise. Any project you do, you like, man, I got a project. I'm doing a whole renovation of a house. It should be done in 2 days. It's not. It typically takes 3 months to do a complete renovation. Whole house, top to bottom. It takes about 3 months. Everybody's in there. Everybody's rushing. And when it doesn't happen, that's when I guess I could say I'm unsettled. So that's why I keep saying anxiety, because I think I'm unsettled when when the timelines aren't being hit, and then that builds that uneasiness, and I call it anxiety. I could say uneasiness, but anxiety
Yeah.
is a stronger word for me because
Yeah, it's a stronger word that you might not want to claim. So that's just why I'm saying that. But
Oh, is it a bad word? Is anxiety
it's
is a
not a
bad word?
bad word, but it's not, you know, it's more than just sweaty palms and stuff. But
Oh,
that's neither here nor there.
okay, then
Um,
yes, I'll be uneasy. I'll be uneasy then.
but good evening to everybody. Again, this is Rise and Thrive. Welcome to Friday. Financial Friday. I'm standing in for Dr. Burns tonight. And of course, our co host is here, James Jones. And so, James, do you want to give some review? How do you want to work tonight?
Oh yeah, I always like review. Review is paramount for us to get from point A to point B. So, do you want me to start right now with the review? Because I
Sure.
can get
Yep.
everybody situated.
We can jump right in.
Okay, so if you paid attention last week, or if you took notes last week, you'll know we talked about three basic things. One, it was about starting at start. So we need to know where you are, and then from there we'll go from there. I mentioned where I'm starting from, not where I started from in the past, but where I'm starting from within the last 2 weeks, where I'm starting from. And then we went in from where you're starting from. I believe it was expenses. And then when we talk about expenses, we want to know what are your expenses going out. And when I say start at start, we wanted to make it really basic, really easy. And your expenses is every dollar that's leaving. You want to make sure that you have the overall. And then if you already have the overall of how much money is leaving, then we want you to separate it because everything is small increments. So you want to make sure everybody understand their income. And then if you know where your income is coming in, then you need to know if you have multiple streams of income or just a single source of income. Then comes expenses was last week. If you know that you have what the overall expenses is, then you work on knowing your individual expenses. And I'll be going in more in that tonight. And then the last one, I believe, was how to get started. And we talked about how does that look just to get started? How does it look to look at your income for a month? Because some people are paid bi-monthly. That means they get 2 paychecks a month. So how does that look to start implementing those in to an actual spreadsheet? And then okay, at the end of the month, I made X amount of dollars. And then we did the same thing with the expenses because everything ties in. So that was pretty much how we started off the last week.
All right. Before you go into your lesson for tonight, those who are joining us out in a little bit, I'll put a link in the comments just for a survey. Dr. Burns wants to see where you are. What information have you taken? What have you used? What did you try, but you need some more information so that it'll give them a better feel for how they need to move forward with the upcoming lesson. So I'll put that in the comments in just a little bit. All right, Brother James, go ahead.
Okay. That was
ready.
So finishing up, we finished up last week. Now we're going in this week. And this week we're still talking about the income. We're talking about what are your fundamentals, which are things that you can't live without or things in which you need to prioritize. And then we're talking about how to organize all those priorities. So we're keeping it nice, basic, and simple. Okay, everybody, like I always like to say, good evening to all my grinders. So tonight, Dr. Anthony D. Burns is not here, so we got Minister Brumfield standing in, and I'm James Jones. Now, we always represent Jericho Church Out Walls. That's the graphite logos. Rhema is JOJ is the emblem, and Rise and Thrive is our banner. That's this system, this session. Now, what we're going to go over today, we're going to go over your income. We're going over what are the fundamentals, which means what is your priorities when it comes to organizing yourself, and what is your priorities, your income as well as your expenses. The last one, we're going to talk about organizing, how to organize your financing. That means from top to bottom, how do you put everything in order? And then we're going to make it all easy. Hopefully it's going to become real easy. Hopefully you're taking notes. So I talked about this last time, so we're going to talk about it. We're going to dive a little bit in depth, and it's going to talk about what is your income. Now, last week I talked about you should know what your income is. This week we're talking about where is your income. Now, I am a big person. I'm big on, I should say, I'm not a big person, but I'm big on people having multiple streams of income. By having multiple streams of income, you are more effective to not being hit with the changing of the times, so to speak. So if you just work a job, that may be good for now, but you want to work at producing another source of income, another stream of income. If that's getting dividends from stocks and bonds, or you have a mutual account, or you have a savings account that you're putting in, or you have an IRA, or you have a 401k, or you have a 201k, you want to make sure that you have another source of income bringing back to you. Your other source of income could be something passively, like, hey, I want to start. I think I had a business called the Sweet Baby Bake Shop. Right. And then if you haven't, you want to start looking at other sources of income, because multiple streams of income is more effective than having one big stream of income. If you work a job and you make $70,000 a year, that may be a really good job to some people. But if that job was to leave, if you was to get hurt, if you was not able to do that job anymore, that would drastically affect what you have going on.
Okay, let's pause right there, James. You said a 401k or a 201k. I don't know if I've heard of a 201k.
Oh, so back in the day, we used to have a thing called, so your retirement program is about four different vehicles, and they all typically do the same thing. So most older people or baby boomers, they heard of a thing called a pension. The pension is where you put in and the company pays your way once you retire. That's the 401k. We moved on from the 401k because companies are no longer paying your way. So now it's a 401k. The 401k is where they do where you put in and the company does matching funds. A 201k is similar to the 401k. However, it's more of your funds being used versus the company. So I believe right now the companies on a 401k puts in anywhere from 5 to 15%. On a 201k, which is half of the 401k, it's similar, but they're putting in 2.5 up to 7%. So it is similar, but there are differences to the two. Okay. And then you also have, moving past those, you also have the Roth IRA, which some people feel is more efficient or more effective. The Roth IRA, let me go back. The 401k and the 201k are both pre-taxed. So you're putting money in and it's not being taxed until you take it out. The Roth IRA has the ability to, you put in post-tax money. So all the money you put in is already taxed.
Okay.
And then once you put that money in, it'll go from there.
All right. Got it.
Can you hold on for one second? It said I gotta plug it in. I'll be right back. But I just want to write it. If you want to write down those four is the pension, 401k, 201k, and the Roth IRA.
Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and put the link in the comments here so that you can go ahead and do the survey. It really helps out when you're able to share some of the information that you've already gained through Financial Friday. We've been here, Pastor and James have been doing Financial Friday for some time now. And so it's time to come back and assess, what have you learned? What questions do you still have? And what things do you want to learn? Maybe there's some things that haven't been talked about yet that you're struggling with when it comes to your finances. So this survey will give them a better picture of where we are, what things we've done, what things we still need. All right. So I'm going to put that right here in the chat.
Yes, thank you.
And
Can you hear me
then
now?
do that. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Let me see.
There we go. So I put that in the chat for you, and you can just click that link. It'll take you right to that form, and you'll be able to do it right on your computer or on your phone or on whatever device that you have. And it looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, but while we're waiting on James to pop back in, he talked about several ways that you can have multiple streams of income. He talked about stocks and bonds. I've just begun over the last couple of years to dabble a little bit in stock, looking them up, researching to see what stocks I should buy, how much I should buy, and having different platforms where you can just buy $5, $10, $20, and even $100. There's no base amount that you need to purchase, was a good fit for me. So I was able to choose some things, buy a little stock, and then see how it went. We were really able to increase our finances through some of the stock that we bought over the pandemic. And that's pretty much when we first started dealing with stock. So that was a great way for us to have some additional income.
Yes!
All right, James is back. I was just sharing about some of the things you talked about when we can have multiple streams of income. And so not just a job. So sometimes we just think, I got to get a second job. I got to get another job. However, there are some other ways that we can have multiple streams of income with having one job and doing some other things, right? Okay. I think James is still having some some technical difficulties. Okay, let's see.
It is good.
There we are. Okay.
It is
All
good
right.
to have multiple streams of income. So I am glad that everybody is chiming in on that. So that's one of the biggest things we should talk about, and we want to make sure that we're doing that. And when I say doing that, I don't mean to be redundant, but I want to make sure that we're in the right space. The right space is, at the end of the day, as good as you may feel things are now, things are constantly moving. Right now, AI is taking over a lot of jobs that normally a person may do, AI is doing. It's like the automobile industry, where you may have a team of people, you now have a lot of robotics that has came in, and now they are completely displacing those people who used to do the automobile industry. And the reason for that is because technology is making us broader, and it's a good thing as well as it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing for those who don't adapt, and it's a good thing for those who can adapt with the times. Just like the pension was really good back when it first started, And then companies stopped using the pension and went to the 401k. And the reason why they went with the 401k is because now most of your security or your retirement is based upon how good you do in the market versus the company, which was doing your pension. Likewise, that's how you got an invention of a 201k, and then you have the inventions of different, not just RAs, but now you have Roth IRAs that also came into the picture, because instead of a company taking care of you, they're putting all the onus on you to take care of you. So with that being said, you have to prepare for a time when you are not actively working so you can get money coming in. If everybody was just interested, the easiest way to do that is to do things like Airbnb or Vrbo. If you're in an older generation and you had another house or you had a duplex, you can rent out the upper unit when your kids leave, and in that way you can still produce an income that will still be coming in the midst of you preparing not to keep actively working. And I say that because it behooves us to make sure that we have different streams of income so we can bear ourselves through the times. Because no parent really wants to be a burden to their children after they put so much investment inside of them. They want their children to love them and to take care of them, but we really don't want to be a burden to our children when we reach the age of retirement.
Good stuff.
Moving on past that is the fundamentals. So when we talk about our fundamentals, some people have objections to what the fundamentals are. So let me go into the fundamentals. All fundamentals are on a basic principle. What are the items or what are the expenses? What are the incomes that you cannot live without? In the military, we are tasked with this on a regular basis. It's food, shelter, and the ability to defend yourself. And no, I'm not talking about guns and violence. I'm not talking about that. It may lead to that, but I'm not talking about that right now. Food is essential. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter how you plan on living your life, whether you plan on having a new diet or an old diet, you need food, you need sustenance. So one of your fundamentals that you can't do without is food. You need to make sure that you're doing a good job at obtaining food. And I say that not jokingly, but that's the reason why I talk about food prep. And that's the reason why I push the idea of making sure you know what is leaving. And this is part of your expenses, what is leaving your account. Because when you have a better idea of what is leaving, you have a better chance and more control as to what you are restricting and what you are making flow. Another fundamental to that. Another fundamental to that is the ability to. Another fundamental is because I'm actually lost vision. Can y'all still hear me?
Okay. I can hear you.
Okay. So another fundamental to that is your ability to is also shelter. So shelter is another thing. No matter if you live underneath a bridge or you live inside a nice house, shelter is something in which you cannot live without. So as a fundamental, you want to make sure you're putting money away so you can obtain a decent place to rest your head, or obtain any place to rest your head. Because if you're living underneath a bridge, trust me, it may not be the best, but it is a lot better than the elements. The last one, which is a fundamental, is safety. Everyone that lives inside the United States of America should be actively seeking safety. Safety means where I can go and I won't be harmed. Now, whether you like or don't like the police, whether you do or don't like politics, Whether you do or don't like the place that you're in currently, remember, safety is something that costs money. Safety is not free. I know it may be a cliche, but freedom is not free. It does come with a price. If you're a person who needs a lot of security versus a person who doesn't need a lot of security, you're still paying for security. There's a reason why we lock our doors. There's a reason why we lock our cars. There's a reason why your cell phone has a lock screen on it. Right. It's because no matter what you do need safety. And safety allows us to be more comforted when we go places.
Okay. So now, is your camera muted or it just stopped working?
My camera has stopped working from what I can tell. It was working. It was actually working, and I don't quite know what happened. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the most funnest thing ever, is to have a camera that isn't working. Mm-hmm. I assure you, it was working in the beginning, and then it stopped working.
Yep, we saw you. All right, so let's just keep moving then. We won't worry about it.
Okay. The benefits to having those fundamentals, right? The benefits. So when you know what you're gonna eat, and you got a fundamental, I will eat food, and you know that you will live in a place, right? And you know for a fact you do need safety. With that, we now grow into, what is your budget? So you want to write that down. If you know that you're going to eat food, you know you're going to have a place to stay, and you know you're going to need safety, now we grow from that into developing a budget. How much does this cost? And when I say fundamentals, I'm talking about just the fundamentals. We will go down the list into other things, but we want to cover the fundamentals for tonight. So how much does it cost to feed you, or to feed your family, or to feed your extended family? Some of us may be caring for an older relative or a parent, or we may be caring for our adult children. It's not just little kids. You got to make sure that if you got a young adult who comes in for college and they're eating on your food and it's once a month, you have to budget for that additional person who's going to be eating on your food. Mm-hmm. Then the next one you got to think of is a savings. So when I talk about these things, I do go in on savings. Whether you get a money market, which we talked about, whether you get a CD, which we talked about, stocks, bonds, those are ventures that may be investments, but they are ideal for saving. If you like stocks and bonds and you want to invest in the future, stocks may be a way to go. They do have short-term gains, and they do have the ability to have long-term gains as well. And over time, they do show the ability to rise. When I say stocks and bonds, I also include real estate. I also include mutual funds. I'm also including money markets and REITs. We did a whole course on all of these additional items that you can take with you. But we want to make sure that you are preparing yourself for the next level, which is savings. Following that, it comes into your debt management. Because if you eat food and you use a credit card, you are in debt. It may be good debt, but you're still in debt. If you own a house, you're in debt because you do pay taxes every year. You do pay a water bill. You do pay, I think it's We Energies. If you're in Wisconsin, and it's about 5 different companies. If you are in Chicago, there's like 5 different companies, or 5. If you're in Illinois, there's 5 different companies. But if you're in Milwaukee or Wisconsin, primarily, it is We Energies, Wisconsin Electric. You are in debt to them because they are serving a purpose. Okay. Taxes is always big, but you got to make sure that you're putting money to aside, because your water bill comes every 3 months. And I know that it may not sound like something that some people need to know, but we have to make sure that when we are putting things together, our debt management is how do we reduce these things? If you're using a credit card, how do you reduce your credit card so you can get the most out of what you're doing? The other one on the list that I am very aware of, and I am always pushing people to, is called your emergency fund. We have to have an emergency fund. When I produced the formula and I said, hey guys, this is the formula that I use a 10% for the formula. That means 10% of your income should be moving over and being able to help you in times of need. The reason for that is because you want to be able to move on past where you are. So in case you get hit with unexpected expenses. And some of my examples wasn't the best in the past, so let me try again. If you get hit with an unexpected, yeah, because I don't want to say death, but if you get hit with an unexpected expense, like, hey, my child is in college and the tuition I thought was $20,000, it now became $25,000. That expense is what you have a emergency fund for, because if you pay it outright, you typically get discounts if you pay a bulk versus paying it over each month. Okay. But you have an emergency fund to cover those things. If you say, hey, guess what? My kids got this college tour coming up, and even though I assumed it was going to cost $2,000, it came up and now it's $2,300. You have a emergency fund to aid in those things. An emergency fund isn't just for the big and glamorous, it's for the small too. If you do not plan for your kids to go to any after school activities, guess what? You will have some unexpected expenses when they try football. You will have unexpected expenses when they go for baseball or basketball or almost any sport. Since it's unexpected, what's going to happen is, instead of you dipping into what you have already budgeted, you can use your emergency fund to aid in making sure that your kid can go to basketball, they can play football, they can run track, they can do what they are interested in until you get the budget under control.
All right, so let's pause right there. You've said a lot, so let's and it's good stuff. So let's just backtrack a little bit. You talked about these three areas: food, shelter, and safety. And knowing that we all need those, the budget comes out of that, right? The budget comes because you're budgeting for those three areas.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. All right. And so once you create your budget, now after that, you need to start some type of savings.
Yes.
Is that what you said? Okay.
So after you budget, right? Because if you didn't have a place to stay, if you didn't eat food and you didn't sleep anywhere, then you don't need safety. So then if you don't have any of those things, then you don't need to save either, because someone is probably taking care of these things. But the fundamentals are the fundamentals for a reason. We have to have food, we have to have shelter, and we have to have safety. And then once you have those things, your budget should cover these things. And I say words like should because I have seen budgets that did not cover these, and they're relying on hope. And I would rather us not rely on hope and actually produce a budget. And the reason why I say that is because when your first priority is a budget, you're taking your income and you're making sure you have enough food, you have enough place to sleep, and you have safety. Everything else becomes more of an extension of what do I want? Because you may want a vehicle, but right now your budget means that you should take the bus. You may want to buy a bicycle, but right now you're on a scooter. It's because you're budgeting, and I'm getting into the weeds of things, but I want to make sure that we have an understanding that your budget allows you to be where you can actually afford to be.
Mm.
And some people may be living outside that budget. And as much as I love my brothers and sisters, if you live outside your budget, it's one, you're one tragedy away. You're one miss up away. You're one mistake away. And now you're underneath the budget. And now you're actually falling behind. And that's how easy it is to fall behind. And now you're doing the payday loan stores, or you're asking family members who charge you, or you're looking for, I want to say you're looking for love in all the wrong places. But
Right.
that's
I get it. I get the budget plan. My mind is going to that safety portion again when it comes to a vehicle, especially for me. You know, I think I would push the envelope just a bit so that I know I wouldn't be on the bus late at night, or I wouldn't be on the bus, and not be safe, walking and stuff like that. So you got to pray for me on that one. But I do get living in your means and not purchasing items that you can't afford. Maybe I would get a car that I could afford, and push the envelope in another area that I could, cut back in so that I can be safe instead of being out at night alone and stuff like that.
Oh, I am in agreement with you, because now remember when I said this, I didn't give a list of what people considered to be safe. I just said we need these things.
Right.
So if your safety need is a car, well then your budget will produce a car. Some people's safety need is a gun. Well, then your budget needs to produce the ammo and the training that it takes to get there. Some people's safety need is ADT or Simple Check or whatever, or the ring bell on the door. But if that's it, then that has to be part of your budget. When we talked about this a while ago, several months ago, I think somebody chimed in and said, my house is my safety. And I said, that's good. Then if your house is your safety, then your house needs to be part of your budget. Because if you have to live in the best neighborhood you can, if the best neighborhood you could think of is the best neighborhood you have to live in so you can have a better transition for your children, well, then that needs to be part of your budget, because a house is part of your budget. My personal, where I personally live and where I personally sleep and where the personal vehicles I got, that was part of my budget. And when I say that, I got to clarify that. My wife and I both have our own vehicles, and that was really big for me. And even to today is really big for me. Now, someone else may say, well, why don't you give up one of your vehicles and then now it's just be you and your wife in a single vehicle? But that's why I said it's good that you say that hey, I need a vehicle. I'm in agreement. Whatever you feel is safety, that's for you to say is safety. But we have to take that list that people create and then apply it to the budget. And that's how we actually start getting a realistic point of view of what's good, what's bad. For me, offerings is really big on my list. And I know you and I talked about this prior to the start. Like, offering is really big to me. I can't get anywhere without helping someone else out. And that is like ingrained in my mind. That is one of my best functions, is to know that offering is part of what I'm doing. It just is. If I can help somebody, cool. How can I help them? So having money set aside to help other people is ingrained in the blessing that God has for me. So I am putting that's budgeted. Okay, cool. We need to help some people. This is how it looks. Somebody else who may be a Christian, may not be a Christian, may think that that's crazy. But that's the reason why the beauty is it's open. It's open. So if everybody take notes, the beauty is it's open. And the openness of it is you choose what kind of food you eat. Because some people choose to be vegan and they got a very elegant diet. Some people can't eat 83, can't eat ground beef that's 83.27. They can only eat they can't eat the ground beef that's like 73.27. They can only eat the 93 and 7 ground beef. And then that's the fun part about, well, what do you cut your breaks at? Well, I eat a whole lot of food, but there are some people who have very delicate palates and they eat a delicate regimented meal. So their budget will reflect that. My budget will reflect this.
Right.
And that's the thing with the food, the shelter, the safety. I mean, I know some guys who literally like hunting and they like having rifles in the house and have things loaded and they can run around. If that's your ability of safety, then have at it. I think a computer is a little bit more safer. I really do think, and if somebody was to break my glass, it would trigger off some alarm, and that alarm would send help. I think that's a little bit more safer than me having a bunch of firearms in the house that can go off at any point in time. Right. Some people don't do firearms. Some people do dogs. But if you do dogs and the dog is your safety, well, then you have to budget for the dog because the dog does take food. The dog does take water. The dog takes health and vet visits or veterinary visits. Yeah, those V's got me. Those veterinarian visits. I mean, like a dog takes a lot of finances in order to keep the dog up and to keep the dog moving. As many times as you go to the doctor, the dog goes 3 times as much.
Right.
Typically. So you want to make sure that dog is being taken care of, being groomed, being nurtured and loved. And now you have your safety. And that's what the big budget is. And the budget is really big because from the budget, you transition into the other things that helps you to become more solidified. So when I talk about the 40%, so long story short, when we talk about the financial formula and we talk about what is your 40%, or how does that look? And I was like, well, these are the basics. Boom, 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 right? And you were like, how'd you get there? Easy. You got to live. You got to live and eat some food. You got to live and sleep somewhere. You got to live and you got to have safety. If you don't have these things, everything else falls short. If you have safety, but you don't have a house to live in, you're going to be angry and you're not going to have security. If you have a house to live in and you have food, but all your windows are open for somebody to steal it, you're not going to feel secure. If you have security and a house, but you can't eat, you're probably going to rob somebody. You're probably going to steal something because you're going to get hungry and then you're going to do something that you need not to do. So from those fundamentals, you create a budget.
Okay, got it. All right. So from the budget, we go into the savings, and then you gave us a few areas that we can begin to tap in to create this savings, right? Real estate, mutual funds, markets, and then you went into debt management and emergency fund.
Yes. So I typically lump savings and investments into the same boat.
Okay.
And the reason why I do that is because there is no savings without an investment, and there is no investment without a savings. So if you was planning on joining a stock market club and investing in the stock market, you got to have money put aside to join the stock market club. That's your savings. If you said, hey, I want I want to be a mutual funds guy. Well, you got to have money for that. You got to save it and then go into it. If you just wanted to have a money market does produce an interest. So it may produce 5%, it may produce 4%, it may produce 3%, but you got to save money to open up the money market. And then from the money market, it goes where it needs to go. The reason why I say that, when I look at savings versus investments, savings is always the beginning of investments. When we teach our children how to invest, it always starts off with a savings account. Hey, we're going to put some money to a side. And then once you save enough, then we'll go get what you need. We're going to put some money to the side. And then when you get enough, we're going to go get that one item that you really like for your birthday. And that's always the benefit. But as you get older, or more mature, you go from a savings to an investment. So now we're investing our money to get the item that we need 5-10 years down the line. Because a child may not see that investment. They'll just see, I'm putting money into the savings account and I'm saving, but where's the money going? When you get older, I'm investing. And that's why when I say savings, I do mean savings and investment. Savings and investing. They're one and the same to me.
Okay. And so what's some creative ways that a person can save? I shared, because I don't remember what Financial Friday it was, but you were talking about different ways to create wealth. And so I was sharing that I stopped eating sweets. And so I take the money that I would use for sweets and I started buying small stocks. So what's some other things that people could do? Because the thought process might be, man, this is going to take me forever to save, this money. But if we look at some things that we don't necessarily need, then we can use that money and do something else with it. Or you paid off a credit card. Now that money that you were paying monthly, you can now use that and do something with.
Oh yeah. So the most creative thing I've seen, the most creative, like the most elaborate that I ever seen someone do, I seen someone stop smoking cigarettes, and I think they became an artist. Like they actually, the money that they did for stop smoking cigarettes, I think he started doing art and design or like crafts, and he made a second income off of the money he was using, what he was using for smoking. I don't know how much cigarettes cost, but I do know they are expensive. So I don't.
Yeah, I don't know how much, but that's very creative. So he took the money that he would have purchased for cigarettes every day, or however how often he purchased them, and he invested it in going to school to do art or materials to do art. How did that work?
He started investing in the materials. So I think he became a painter, or like it's like 3D art. It's like where you got the frame, and then like you got the picture. Oh yeah, I forgot you can't see me. So you got the frame, and then you have a picture, and then like he put the people on the picture. So it's like 3D. So it's not. It's a like, instead of having, I think one was like it was like a dog. So you got think of a picture of a dog, and then the drawing of a dog, you now got like a stuffed animal there. So like half the stuffed animal. So the drawing is actually like raw, and the animal is being seen. It was another drawing. It was another thing I seen it on TikTok, and I also seen him do it where he's breaking the glass. So a kid is throwing I think it was a shots fired, and he broke the glass where the shot is fired. On Instagram, they had a little boy shoot a ball up, and he broke the glass to simulate the 3D effect. Mm-hmm. And he did a really good job at that. And I think those things are very creative for us, for regular people. We may not be that creative, but we can put it to a side. Remember, when I said a savings account is a temporary lean to produce something else. So when you do a savings account, if you said, I'm no longer going to buy sweets. A lot of people That's a very common thing. You eat a lot of sweets. You eat too many sweets. So you tell yourself, I'm not going to buy sweets. But what I want people to do, or something that somebody can do, is when they think about buying sweets, when they just think about it, put $2 inside of this jar. And you're like, well, how does that help? Easy, because when you don't have the money, you tend not to think about it as much. And it's pretty much on an integrity base, because no one knows what someone's finances look like. But if you're like a husband and wife crew, just tell your accountability partner, hey, guess what? This is what I'm trying to do. And then that way, as the communication is there, communication is another thing. And the reason why, I guess I want to make sure I keep it as finances, but people don't understand how finances is like intertwined in everything that we do. So when you think about going places, your finances is intertwined with that. When you think about your loved ones, your finances are intertwined with that. When you think about all your hobbies, your finances are intertwined with those things. So as I'm talking, I want to give some leeway to let you know, like, hey, it's a really good idea if you're having financial issues to talk it over with an accountability person, because finances are intertwined. Marriages are dissolved and divorces are rampant because of finances. It's just the way statistics work. So we got to make sure that as we talk about finances, it connects so many things. So I'm laughing because I am trying to stay on point, but I'm trying to stay on point, and I'm not trying to leave everybody and say, hey, quick little tangent, make sure you're doing this. So
okay, we're ready to move on.
yeah, we could definitely move on. We're gonna talk about what's more about your fundamentals. So your fundamentals is eating, sleeping, and safety. From there, you produce a budget. We talked about savings and investments, about how you should be saving for a financial goal. Once you reach that financial goal, it should be moved over into a investment vehicle that can carry it the rest of the distance. Having your money inside a savings account forever is not beneficial to anybody. Well, it's probably beneficial to the bank, but it's not beneficial to you, your family, your kids, yourself. It's not beneficial to have money in the bank not moving. When you get done with savings in order to investments, we talk about debt management. There is a such thing called good debt, and there's a such thing called bad debt. Good debt is having a credit card that is open and you're using it occasionally and you're keeping it under 30%. Some companies under 40%. Bad debt, your credit cards are maxed out and you're looking for a way to move one balance over to the next and then max out both credit cards. That's considered bad debt, and your credit score will be affected by that bad debt. That's where debt management comes in. Debt management is the ability to manage the debt that you have outstanding. And when I say manage it, I do mean all debt is manageable. If you take out a school loan, they tell you the agreement that you are signing up for. Adhere to the agreement. When they talk about where you are, when they talk about the loans, they give you documentation about the loan. You should be writing down that documentation. It shouldn't be I think. It should be I know. And by knowledge, you're able to know what your management is. That's how people can pay off their house faster, because when you know what the expectations are, you're more equipped to be able to exceed those expectations and pay your house off faster, or pay your car down faster, or pay your credit cards off or to a low balance. We want to make sure that debt management in any aspect, whether it's a loan or a credit card, you know how that looks, so you're better equipped to handle that. The The next ones are emergency fund, which is always a cushion. I talked about that before. I'm going to just touch on that one more time. Is you need to make sure that you have a cushion. I know that it may not seem like a lot now because your cushion may be $2, $3, $4, maybe $5 to $10 a month. It may not seem like a lot, but if you're overspending, that cushion of $10 can turn into $120 by the end of the year. By 18 months, that's $180. By the end of the second year, you're already at $210 of a cushion. It may not seem like a lot at first, but remember, nothing seems like a lot at first until you're finished. When you start building a house, or you first want to build a car, or you build a toy train set, everything starts off with small pieces. Remember, small increments in the right direction will get you to where you need to be. And the reason why I say that, because we're going to go back to what we talked about, the story we just said. Hey, guess what? I stopped eating gumdrops. What do you do with that money? Well, that money is only $2 a bag, and I typically eat it once a week. Great. Now you know that you can put $2 away every other week. So every 2 weeks, you're growing $4. Eventually, that $4 will turn into $40. It may not seem like a lot, but 40 is a lot more than 2. And that's how you start your process. Now, when you get ready to invest, there's tons of different apps that you can invest in, like Google, Sam's Club, Walmart. You can invest in Apple. And then there's a lot of apps that you can use to invest in. You got Charles Schwab, which I use. You have Charles Schwab has an app called Street Smart, or like Streetwise. I forgot. My phone is dead, so I can't explain it. But different investment companies have different apps. Robinhood is an investment app. I think Credit Karma has an investment feature. All of your major banks have an investment feature. Some of your credit unions have an investment feature. Not that the bank is doing it personally, but they have a feature that you can go off to, and someone can invest whatever you have, even if it's small amounts. You get over $100, you would like to invest it. Most banks have a person who can talk to you about making that investment grow. If you don't like the banks, there's a ton of apps out there, or at least a good 10 apps that you can go to. You can put your money in, and then you can invest off the app. And you don't need any experience. You don't need any management, any coaching. You're just investing off the app. Moving past that is insurance. I can't explain to you how good it is to have insurance, but everyone should have insurance. This is for all people who are a parent, or for anybody who has a dependent. The reason why I say that, because if you're a single person and you live life to the fullest, and if something was to happen to you, no one will take care of you. And on top of that, no one will bury you. Well, you don't need life insurance, because there is no one who's depending on you. However, if anyone is depending on you, insurance is a must. If you have a mama who depends on you because you're a single person and you have a mama that depends on you, or a father who depends on you, or an auntie or uncle, get insurance. If you're a parent, that's a no-brainer. Get insurance. And when I say get insurance, I'm not talking about get the most expensive insurance and don't think about it. You got to get insurance. It could be a small amount, it could be a large amount, but you do need insurance. But this is not fundamental. Remember, this is not something that will affect the food you eat, the place you sleep, or your safety. This is for moving forward. Hey, I have a budget. This is what I'm doing. I got to have insurance. If you have a vehicle, guess what you need to have on your vehicle? Insurance. If you ride a motorcycle, guess what you need to have? Insurance. If you have a business, guess what you need to have? Yes, it is insurance. Insurance is a regular part of the American society. You need to have insurance. Whether it's health insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, home insurance, you need to have insurance. By having insurance, you have the ability to get around unexpected expenses or a drop in your income due to your livelihood changing, which is different than the emergency fund. The emergency fund is unexpected expenses. Insurance is for unexpected events that happen. Because if I was to become paralyzed, even though I have other sources of income, I still have insurance, which will pay out to make sure that my doctor bills, the newfound doctor bills, are now covered. The psychological treatment that I have to go through and some of my family members, that stuff is covered. The different lifestyle I now have to have because now I'm a paraplegic, that stuff is covered. I can't tell you that I don't ever want to tell somebody it can't happen. I'm just saying that as a parent, it's your responsibility to make sure you're not putting your family in crazy hardships. When I say crazy, I mean avoidable hardships. Hey, guess what? I'm a crazy guy. I'm going to do a motorcycle wheelie down the street. If you're a parent, you should not be doing motorcycle wheelies down the street. You should be driving responsibly. But if you do a wheelie and you hurt yourself, it's irresponsible not to have insurance. Mm-hmm. If you're a person and you drive a vehicle, you may need insurance. Now, you may say to yourself, no, I don't need insurance. I'm the best driver ever. Good. That doesn't stop other people from running into you. It just means that you are a really good driver.
Right.
Accidents still happen even to those who say they are flawless. An accident is exactly what it is. You don't know that someone is going to run a red light and smash the tail end of your car. You don't know. You can anticipate it. You could be aware, but that doesn't mean that you driving on a Wisconsin street and there's some black ice because the snow truck didn't put enough salt down and now you slid into a snowbank and you hit your radiator. You don't, even though you're a good driver, it doesn't exclude you from accidents happening. So having insurance is something that you may want to budget in. And the key word is may want to budget in. I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying it behooves you to make sure that you're doing your due diligence because people need to see you come home.
Right.
The last two is as you're maturing. So as you get the budget and you get things underneath you and you got your insurance, the last two are recommendations for those who are a lot more seasoned. And when I say seasoned, that's not an age, that's a maturity thing. Mm-hmm. So I want to make sure I clarify that it's not an age. If you're out of control and you're balling and you got everything set up, your maturity age may be 30. If it's taking you a little bit more time and you got some things other, your maturity age of your money may be 60. It may even be 80 for some people. And some people never 20. Who knows? But as you mature, you want to make sure you got these things in place. One is an actual retirement plan and a disbursement plan. The retirement plan talks about your future expenses and your future lifestyle. Your retirement disbursement is how do you move what you own to people that you want to give it to. And when I say that, I do mean we may not live forever. And if Jesus doesn't come back by the time my heart stops, I may want to know who I'm giving my stuff to. That may, whether that sounds good or bad, it's a responsibility for a mature person to exercise their right to give stuff to the people that they need to give it to. Mm-hmm. If you have a safety account that is given to your granddaughter because she's going to college, you may want to let people know that this account is for this person. Otherwise, you may go through probate, go through a court system, and the court will decide if it's legitimately hers or if that account needs to be dispersed to 5 to 6 other people. Mm-hmm. That's what retirement planning is, or retirement disbursement is. How does this look when I move on with my life? And when I say move on, I don't mean that you may die. Some people actually call it quits and say, hey, I want this son to have this business. I want this daughter to take over this business. I'm going to be in Florida. Here go my power of attorney to this child because they love me and they're going to make sure I live well. But the companies are ran by the kids who are financially understandable. But that doesn't mean that you're excluding it. It's just, this is how retirement looks. I'm going to be in Florida. I got another kid being my power of attorney. I got two other kids running the businesses that I have. Or you can have one person do it. Power of attorney when you're retired is a very big thing. That way you eliminate yourself from being scammed a whole lot easier by having someone who may be more knowledgeable of the new school scams. Mm-hmm. I am just a side note, my father is older than me and he does not know all the technology out there. He believes his phone can't be hacked because he has his phone on him. As fun as that may be, he doesn't know that there's a whole world out there where there's a bunch of people who can take your information with your phone still being on your person.
Right.
So it's stuff that he doesn't know that I do know and aware of. So now I'm actively engaged in making sure that his phone is set up and secured for those reasons. So he can enjoy his retirement and he has a son who is looking over his back or looking over his shoulder and making sure things are being done correctly. That's what a power of attorney can do. All I can tell you is don't be afraid of a power of attorney, but pick the right person to be your power of attorney. And that's why a mature person is looking to do these things.
Okay.
The last
all right.
one,
let's just pause right there for just it's a little bit of time left, but can you give a few steps and point people in the right direction to do what you just talked about, the retirement plan and the retirement disbursement, whichever way, if it's a pre-planning thing so that when you do pass on, you're not leaving those things for your children, or if it's the power of attorney where the person is deciding to live in Florida and they're giving the things to their children. How does someone get started with something like that?
Okay. The first one is the reason why I start off with saying these are a mature thing is because people who have kids, you have a good idea what kind of kid that you have brought into this world. When I say that, I'm not saying that you did a good job or bad job, but some kids may be good at finances and not really good at taking care of you. Some kids may be good at taking care of you, but they really can't balance a checkbook. Because of that, you want to be mindful of who you are putting in charge of your well-being. So when I talk about retirement planning, how does that look? Well, you may have a child and you may have a nephew or niece that is more proficient than your child. Well, you have to start a will. If you own assets, you may want to go with a trust. If the stuff can never be sold, go with an irrevocable trust. If the items that you want to put to somebody can be sold, then you get a revocable trust. Both of those things can be hashed out at an attorney's office. And once those documents are done, you can give those documents into a safety deposit box to your lawyer. You can place them inside the county office. And my suggestion is you give it to the person that you want to give it to. So if anything does happen, that person has a certified copy. The county has a certified copy. So people are less likely to argue when the county and you both have the same certified copy. And that is for your future planning. Inside of your future planning, and you also got to talk about your future disbursements. If you do have something of value, and I am actually talking about what you deem a value, because a value could be a family Bible. Like I have a generational Bible and I have a family Bible. Then I have personalized Bibles that was given to me by my auntie. My children already knows who gets the generational Bible, which one of my kids are going to be getting the family Bible. Because I did, when I was given the generational Bible, it was given with a blessing. So I blessed it. And now when I prepare to give it to one of my children, I'm going to bless it and give it to them. The family Bible is a bigger book, but it's the book that we read or read as a family. I put a blessing on it because that's how I was always trained with a Bible. So when I give it to my kids or one of my children, they will be blessed because I'm giving them a family Bible. If you was to put that into the court system, how much does a Bible cost? Well, how much does a generational Bible cost? How much does a regular family Bible cost? Well, in terms of financing, a Bible is a Bible. But when it comes to what I want to give to my kids, the legacy I want to leave, that's when making sure your list is together, that's the importance. Because it's not about finances. It's not about the cost of something. It's about the impact it has on the family. If you have a lot of mink coats, yes, they do cost a lot to have a mink coat, but you may want to give some to the Goodwill. You may want to give some to a relative. You may want to give a couple to your children. Well, you need to write these things out, make a list, and then when you go see the attorney, you are putting all these things in document form. The easiest form to do is called a will. That means when you die, the will take over, and then that will help the process. However, people do contest wills on an occasional basis. So that's the reason why when I first talked about it, I talked about a trust. A trust gives you the ability to be alive and still make adjustments into it. That's why when I talked about retirement planning, I didn't say will, I said power of attorney. Because as you get older, you have someone already in place doing those things that you may need help on. A power of attorney is not a bad thing. It's just an understanding thing. When you are mature enough to know that there are things out there that you don't know and that someone is better equipped at that, then you want to give them power of attorney. You don't have to give them full 100% power of attorney. You could do specific power of attorneys, but you do want to have someone else over your finances. If you're an older person and you're bad at driving, guess what? As much as you may like driving, you may want to give up your driver's license and let somebody chauffeur you around. The power of attorney allows you to do a similar benefit, is that when you are reaching an age where you may be quick on your feet, but your reading is bad or your vision is bad and you can't move as much, before you get to the age before you get to the place where you can't move, you may want to do power of attorney so someone can help you through your financial situation and your medical situation, and they can make sure that your house is still being paid for, even though you're going through, or that all your food is still coming in while you're still going through. Power of attorney allows someone to speak on your behalf. So when I talk about retirement planning and I talk about retirement disbursement, the first thing I talked about was power of attorney for that purpose, is that you're giving someone, and I want to make sure that it's a mature thing. You're giving someone, you're a mature person giving someone of maturity the ability to speak on your behalf. When it talks about what you like, a trust is better, in my opinion, than a will. A will is only active once you die, and a will could be contested once you die because you're not there to say, I didn't mean it like this, I meant this. Versus when you do a trust, you're still alive. And as your as your assets are being distributed out to different people, you still have a say so in that because you're running your trust.
Okay.
So I don't want to tell people you can't. I don't want to say do not do a will. I just haven't seen a lot of. I've seen more benefits in a trust than I've seen in a will. I have a lot more reliability in the power of attorney than I do in a will. So it's not that a will is very common. So if you don't have anything else, write out a will, get it notarized, give it to your family, and that's still a mature thing to do, is to do a will. It's just we have better options now and we have better education now. So with more education and more understanding, I want to make sure you have a better option. A power of attorney allows other people to speak on your behalf. And you can always, you can cancel a power of attorney. You can say, hey, I don't need it anymore. I got this. But a power of attorney is something which I use, and I'm only in my 40s. I've used a power of attorney in several situations because if I'm not available, I need to have other people who can run my operation without me being there.
Right.
And that's how my power of attorney ran. When I get older, I got children. One of my children will be my power of attorney. That's not a concept that's unforeign. It's just something that needs to happen. As smart as I am now, if I hit 100 years old, I'm pretty sure somebody a little bit smarter than me gonna be able to work the technology of that day. How do I know that? Because I got grandparents who are still alive, and I can tell you the technology of today is something very foreign to them. So they need a lot of assistance in that area. When I reach their age, the current technology now will be almost foreign to me. Yeah, I know people don't like admitting that, but think about what it was 40 years ago when we had the black and white TV or the car phone. Remember the car phone was a big thing? It was people who lived in that generation before color TV came out. And now we got HD. They're not efficient at knowing or being knowledgeable of these things. So a power of attorney is an option for them to still stay on the go. And I'm not saying they're giving up their livelihood. I'm saying someone is in there to take care of those financial situations.
Okay. All right. We had a wealth of information tonight, and our time has been well spent. And so, James, if you just give us one thing to close us out tonight, one thing that someone can do over the week until we meet again on Friday, one thing that they can do from everything that you said tonight.
Oh, let's start off with the basics. I want you to figure out, what do you spend on food? What do you spend on shelter? What do you spend on safety? And when I say it's open, remember, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not correcting your sheets of paper. I am not even going to look at your answers, because it's for you to have the idea and to write it down. And when I say this is just the beginning, it is just the beginning. So if you think sugar frosted flakes is like the way to go, cool, make that your food. Sugar frosted flakes. It costs like $5. It tastes really good. It has a whole lot of sugar in it. Everything is frosted. Good. If you think your home has to be a 5.8 acre mansion, good. If you think your safety needs to be armed security guards walking you back and forth to your car, good. Because it's for you to be able to start budgeting out what you have going on. And we're going just with the basics: food, shelter, safety. So in 1 week, be able to make a list of those things that are food, those things that are part of your shelter, which is your house, or the drive you drive, or the car you drive, or your safety. You want to make sure you put all those things out, and then we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back next week. And my
Maybe
camera, my camera be working in.
Okay, awesome. And so remember to click that survey. It's bit.ly/financial. I'm putting it in the chat again. FS. All right, so click that. Let us know what you've been doing, what information you've accomplished, what things you tried, but you need some more information about, and what you want to know that hasn't been spoken about yet. All right. So we're doing that. Also, we have the workshop. Let me put that flyer up real quick. There we go. Fail forward fast, learning to thrive despite setbacks. Entrepreneur workshop. As an entrepreneur, I know you've had some challenges. You've had some setbacks, you've had some delays, and this workshop is going to help you fail forward fast. You won't stay in those obstacles long. You won't wallow in despair or sadness because it didn't work. You'll fail forward fast. You'll be able to have that tenacity to get up and keep going, try something else, try that again, just keep moving forward. This workshop is $25. It's Saturday, April 27th. From 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Jericho Church Without Walls, 8086 North 76th Street. You can register at dradburns.com/events. I'm going to put that here it's right here. You can see it right here, but I'm going to put it in the chat so that you can just click it. dradburns.com/events. Go ahead and register. Make sure you get your seat. What's included? You get the workshop, you get the wisdom that's going to be there, you get a workbook, lunch, and continental breakfast, all for $25. You can't beat that. You're in a room with other entrepreneurs so that you can network as well. So don't delay. Go ahead. It's $25. We waste $25. Invest in yourself. Go ahead, click that link and get yourself signed up so that you can find out tools that will help you fail forward fast. All right. Well, that's all we have for tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Dr. Burns will be back as we come back on next Friday at 7:00 p.m. Like and share. If you haven't shared it already, go ahead and share this information with someone. I know it'll bless their life. All right, James, you want to pray us out tonight?
Oh, yeah. God, we thank you for this time that we have spent together.
Thank you, Lord.
And we pray that the information that was shared is impactful and that we will utilize those things that we need to utilize to put ourselves in a better position for yet another great day that you have made. We thank you. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, and amen.
Amen. All right, you guys have an amazing rest of your night. Remember the homework. You're going to find out how much you spend on food, how much you spend on shelter, and now how much you spend on safety. All right. Until next Friday, this is Financial Friday on Rise and Thrive with Dr. Anthony D. Burns and James Jones. We'll see you guys soon. Good night.
Bye, everybody.